Right now on News 8, removing the damage. We give you a bird's eye view as workers start a recovery effort after nearly a year of waiting.
And survival story, the quick decision by two men and why they decided to run into a burning home.
Live from WQAD, News 8 at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Denise Hanitka.
And I'm Johnnie Gendrich. Thanks for joining us at 5. Jim has the night off.
Well, it must be the Midwest because the week started with spring and it's ending with winter. Much of northern and western Iowa is covered with snow tonight. This is video from out near Interstate 35 near Clear Lake near the Minnesota border. As much as 10 inches of snow caused serious traffic problems. Several semis couldn't stay on the road, causing big traffic backups. The blizzard brought whiteout conditions to the Iowa-Nebraska border. In Sioux City, heavy snow made it even more dangerous by the high winds. At one point, there were wind gusts of 35 miles an hour. More than a foot of snow could be on the ground by the time this thing moves out.
And here in the Quad Cities, the winter storm hasn't made an impact yet. This is a live look at the traffic on Interstate 80 near Walcott. Earlier today, drizzle and falling temperatures were a concern. Road crews had salt trucks out to prevent rain from freezing on the roads. So far, no major traffic concerns around our area. But later on tonight, we may definitely see some snow.
Certainly not like western Iowa, though.
That's
James
right.
Zahara is in tonight with the first check of the forecast. Hi, James.
Hey,
happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you guys as well. And yes, we'll be kind of on the lighter side as far as the snowfall is concerned. And that snowfall is not too far away, as you can see in our storm tracker, which you can check on our website at WQAD.com. It is just mainly west of a line from Cedar Rapids to Iowa City to now making its way around Ottumwa. Slow progress with this system, so it really won't get here until sometime this evening or so. Kind of focusing more around 7 or 8 o'clock or so till it really makes its way across our entire viewing area. But the important thing here is that this is not going to be a very impressive snowfall that we expect to see as this continues to make its way off to the east. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that as we head later on tonight. Currently in the Quad Cities, we have a temperature going on around, well, not too warm. It's right now around 38 degrees after a high of just 42. And the moisture that we have been seeing throughout the day has been more spots of drizzle. The only little change I see in the forecast before the snow arrives is that we could be seeing a light mix, maybe a brief light freezing rain, and then it changes all to light snow. But the duration of that, not enough really to produce any slick spots. It looks more wet than anything else. Of course, this will leave behind some pretty chilly conditions. We'll tell you how those wind chills will be impacted going to the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Denise?
Thank you, James. Our Storm Track 8 team is keeping an eye on the changing weather conditions. And if you're away from the TV, you can check your phone. We have the Storm Track 8 weather app with an interactive radar, hour-by-hour forecast, and more. It is all at your fingertips, and it's a free download.
The next phase of cleanup is beginning nearly a year after a tornado touched down in Rock Island County.
An EF2 tornado hit the Evergreen Village neighborhood of East Moline back in March. It was on the ground for 5 miles, damaging about 40 homes in its path. While people rebuild their homes right away, one thing you may not realize is the work that goes into repairing the landscape after a severe storm. News 8's Elizabeth Wada shows us how Living Lands and Waters is reshaping a neighborhood.
We're just going to walk and then come in from this right here.
The coach assembles his players.
The 7 people are going to work all this and then start working back this way.
And draws up the plan.
Today we're kicking off the I-80 restoration project.
The name of the game, clean up from a storm that hit this stretch of land off I-80 back in 2016.
We are basically going to be clearing about as many trees as we possibly can. There's probably 100 trees down from a tornado that happened last March.
The storm left trees buckling over and remnants of nearby homes scattered on both sides of the interstate.
That's good in that sound. By the way, God, I love that sound.
It's the vision of Living Lands and Waters founder Chad Pagracki. More than 1,000 volunteers in the next few years will restore more than 28 acres of land.
Yeah, it's a big project.
The largest land restoration project in recent Illinois history. Phase 1, cut down all the knocked down trees and brush by hand.
You could probably bring a machine and do a lot of this work, but I mean, so many people want to get involved and do something and feel good about it.
After all the cutting and sawing is through, the next team will come and clear out the forest. And then the fun stuff.
Eventually this will be like wildflowers, more prairie grass, so it'll look a lot different. It won't be as thick with the invasive species. It'll look beautiful, really.
When it's all said and done, volunteers envision a victory for the entire Quad Cities community. In East Moline, Elizabeth Wattis, WQAD News 8.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You can find information on how you can volunteer to help with the project on our website, WQAD.com. Just search the word CHAD.
A Davenport man is in the hospital after two strangers rescued him from a burning trailer. The fire happened just off Cody Trail in West Davenport. The rescuers are Allstate insurance employees. They were in the area to repossess a car. The two say once they saw the flames, they stopped what they were doing and took turns trying to get the man out.
We were told by the neighbor he couldn't get him out, couldn't breathe. Me and Jerry here parked the truck. We ran up and was able to rotate in and out to get the gentleman outside. We drug him somewhat down the ramp until fire officials got here.
The cause of that trailer fire is still under investigation.
There is new pride in downtown Maquoketa as people there have seen a lot of progress since a fire 9 years ago. That fire took out 2/3 of the retail businesses in downtown, and it's been a long recovery. The city has spent $4 million fixing roads and sidewalks, and it's now offering grants and interest-free loans to business owners to fix up their storefronts. People there say it's just the start of some exciting things.
They just felt like things were not ever going to happen again and didn't know where to go, what to do with it. But you know, we have people that can do things, and so we got a theme out there that says Maquoketa can, and that really woke up the town that we can do things.
That green space where the 6 buildings burned down is now used for concerts, events, and the farmers market. The city also hopes to bring in housing to the downtown.
Barbers, social workers, and funeral directors may not need a license to practice in Iowa much longer. A bill in the Iowa House would remove the licensing requirement for a number of professions, including dietitians. At Genesis hospitals, dietitians work with patients who need tube feeding or nutrition through their veins. Before they can be hired, they have to pass an exam and apply for a state license, which costs about $120.
I know a couple other people who work in some other states because there are other states that you don't have to be licensed, and they feel like their work isn't very valued.
The governor's office says about 1/3 of Iowa's workers are licensed. That's the highest level in the country. The governor says the licensing expense may prevent some people from going into those fields. That same bill could also make it easier for a new mental health hospital to build in Bettendorf. Last year, Strategic Behavioral Health tried to open a 72-bed mental health facility in Bettendorf. That project failed to get state approval. This bill would remove the Certificate of Need requirement, which hospitals must currently apply for. Genesis leaders who fought against HSSBH says this would result in a duplication of services.
If you eliminate that process, it pretty much creates chaos in the market. You could put together a hospital group anywhere.
Under the proposal, any facility that provides services to a person with a primary diagnosis of mental illness would be exempt from the Certificate of Need requirement.
Tuesday's primary election day will be an unusual one for voters in Moline. Incumbent Mayor Scott Reyes successfully booted his 2 challengers off the ballot because their petitions weren't filled out right. The option now is for a write-in candidate to get enough votes on Tuesday to challenge Reyes in the general election. The situation so rare, election officials are still not sure what happens next.
I think I'll move on, and I think Alderman Acree will move on. We still haven't received a ruling from the county as to how many actually move on in a primary.
Tonight on News 8 at 6, Mayor Reyes talks with News 8's Chris Miner about the race and the backlash after filing challenges that booted his competition off the ballot.
Anyone born in Iowa between 1993 and 2009 may need to exchange their birth certificate. According to the Department of Public Health, the wallet-sized card issued during that time didn't include enough vital record information, which means it couldn't be used for identification purposes. If you want an updated version, you'll need to contact the Bureau of Health Statistics in Des Moines.
Still ahead tonight, some landscape concerns for the spring.
The warning from Illinois officials and why some shrubs could be on the removal list.